Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the Vault. Trust Christian own, nothing control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live or listening to replay. This is a pop up episode. Do episodes randomly. This is episode 176, How to Build Trust. So definitely want to make it a point to do a great episode here. A bunch of people always ask questions, even in email, how to build trust, and so this is, it figurative, it can be literal, and we'll do our best to cover both of those parts of the conversation because this is a very commonly asked question. It's going to always be a commonly asked question. It's always going to be something that people are going to say, I started, but I don't know how to keep going through. I don't even know how to start. So, how to build trust covers not only just uh, maybe creation of trust. It doesn't just cover, initial starting. It covers the detail of long-term growth, um, and that's what we're all about here is long-term growth at the Vault. So, really excited about going over this topic and covering it. It's going to be an excellent episode, and we're going to do our best to cover as much as we can. So, how to build trust? This is, like I say, a very popular question that people ask, and one of the easiest things is always to just ask, the family in question or entrepreneur investor in question is, who do you trust? It's not about how to build the trust because when you're in trust, it means you're in secret. When you're in trust, it means you're in contract. So when you're in trust and when you're in contract, when you're in secret, when you're in private, it would be, well, who would you be contracting with? Who would you trust in this situation? And so this is where it all starts. When we even deal with the trustees, and the trustees are very aware of that, is it all starts with where it all starts with who do you trust. That's the first thing, and obviously, the first thing that you have to do is trust Christian and trust the vault. You definitely have to trust Christian and trust the vault. Why? Because it's a mentorship program. People say, "Well, who do you trust?" So many people they come to the vault and they say, "Man, I can't trust anybody selling anything over the internet. I can't contact anybody over the internet because I don't know who's real or fake." Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to build trust, and part of that is due by you doing your due diligence process, by listening to the content, inquiring about a consultation, and moving forward. It's a symbiotic relationship. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. It's focused on building trust. That's why it's trust Christian in the vault. Is because it's focused on building trust. So the first level of trust should always be established with the source or the mentorship program, particularly the vault. If you're listening to the vault for continuing education with trusteeship, the focus is building trust with the vault. And the way that we have been very successful at the vault is a lot of people say that trust is built through listening to the content, being able to digest the content, being able to contact the vault for consultations. We get a bunch of people that want to contact the vault for consultations, and a lot of the times the consultation price was based off of actual time frame and time schedule, and even still, it's still towards the end of the year, and just time is very crunched. But you build the trust by investing in a relationship. It's anything in life that involves an investment, whether it's a business or a trust, or otherwise, it involves an investment. And so when we talk about people getting a consultation, or we talk about anybody even in trustee training, it involves an investment. How do you build trust with even the partners that we work with at the vault? Is you invest in a relationship so you can invest in having those relationships as well afforded to you. And we definitely know that you build trust by sharing who you work with. That's something that we've seen over the years that a lot of entrepreneurs don't have is, do you have access to your mentors accountants? Do you have access to your mentors lawyers? Do you have access to those people? And so the vault doesn't necessarily handpick any lawyer account because they're not all created equal, and each state is different. So it's very state based when it comes to accounting or lawyer. So when we talk about how do you build trust with an accountant or a lawyer, we talk about you going in and being able to touch them, you being able to physically shake their hand and be able to say, "Hey, how are you?" You being able to look them in the eyes. That's how trust is established. I know there's so many places you can go over the internet that you can purchase trust. There's so many places you can go over the internet. You could purchase a corporation, but at the end of the day, do you trust that source? What are you just going off the reviews? And so we do see people that go off the reviews. But how do you build trust? You build trust by shaking a hand. You build trust by going in and looking someone in the eyes. That's how trust is built. That's how it's always been built. The internet will not replace shaking of hands. It won't replace looking in eyes. And so, building trust with Devolve once again is investing in that relationship, uh, making it a point to uh, learn the skill of building trust. Because clearly, a lot of times as trustees, a lot of trustees are not familiar with portfolio management. When, as a trustee, you're an asset manager. It's assets under management now. The business is the asset. You're not the asset. You're not the sole asset. You're not a sole prop anymore. You're a trustee under managing trust assets. It's always been that way. Whether it was in the corp, you're a corporate officer, being a corporate officer, managing corporate assets, growing corporate assets. So building trust is the same exact way. It's being able to invest in the education, grow the education, grow the value of assets. It's funny because just sitting around and looking at all the greats, people are always looking for an example. They're looking for a great example. They're looking for who's the best that's ever done it. So when people look at the best investors in the world, people look at their portfolios and they look at their portfolios and say, well, how is my portfolio or my family portfolio or the business portfolio supposed to model the Warren Buffetts of the world, the Bill Gates of the world, the Ray Dalios of the world, the Robert Smiths of the world, the Suzanne Shanks of the world? How do you follow their portfolio models? And I would say you don't, because everybody's portfolio is different. Every family office is different. Every family is different. Every business is different. That's why business is so hard to grow, because there is no, oh, this is how you grow this business, which is your business. But we get into, what do you want your business to look like? That's how we get into building it. What do you want your family estate to look like when you pass? What do you want the legacy of the impact that you want to have be impacted here in the world when you leave? That's how you build trust. You work backwards. It's a reverse engineering process. That's why you see a lot of trustees, successful trustees, are former engineers that have gotten over themselves and actually focused on the contract and work on the contract and not trying to figure it out. There's nothing to figure out. The contract is black and white. There's no gray area. There is no read between the lines. There is black and white on the paper. How to build trust. You know all the terms. Some people are going to ask you, are you a lawyer? As a trustee, as an entrepreneur, as an investor, as if you're not in an environment that requires you to know financial terms, which are legal terms. How do you build trust? Once again, you find that mentor. You build that trust in relationship. You invest in a relationship. We have mentors we travel around the world to go meet. And we'll always travel around the world to meet the mentors. Because that's how you build trust. You build trust with the mentors because you invest in working with them. How do you build trust? You get around other people that are in trust. People that want to maintain their privacy. People that aren't trying to be a part of the public. People that aren't trying to be a part of the charade. People can't see the good that's going on in politics because they see the charade that's going on the news. They can't see the good, the change that's being affected every single day for their business. People can't see the inheritance tax the inheritance tax law possibly being changed because of the charade that's going on TV. But when it's all said and done, when certain laws are moved or changed or otherwise, and the right people are able to benefit, it's because you built trust. You built the relationship to be in those environments with with those families and those people. We're really excited because even out of just many years of trustees, so many more trustees now. The ones that make so much more capital are always willing to go to a workshop that we recommend at the vault. We built that trust, saying, "Hey, look, here's an additional resource for you." They've read the books. They've confirmed the knowledge. They're moving forward on their own. That's how you build trust at the vault. See, the vault is not about information. This isn't a place where you come get information and you do nothing. So many people want to come to the vault, or so many people want to go out in the world and they want to say, hey, I want to learn something, but I don't want to do something. The way you build trust is by doing it, by working on it. This isn't something you take a test on. Business, building trust, how to build trust, it's not a test. The only test is balance sheets. And this is where we get into where some people fall by the wayside. Because building trust requires a wealth mentality. It requires a respect for yourself mentality. And it's definitely a focus on power. What is knowledge? Knowledge is power. It's a focus on power. Because if knowledge is power, how much knowledge do you have? How much intellectual property does your family estate own? Because that's what the internet is. The internet is intellectual property. And so many people they don't know that contracts are intellectual property. They hold intellectual property. How do you build trust? How do you build contracts? How do you build intellectual property? You acquire it, you invest, you protect it, you preserve it. How do you build trust? You preserve it. You grow it. See, once again, we talked about a wealth mindset. You have to grow it. How do you build the trust? You got to grow it. So many people say, oh, I'm overwhelmed by how much work I have to do inside of trust. Well, what did you expect this to be, a job? You do have a job. You're a trustee. But this is the multiple sources of income environment. This is where trustees are multi-millionaires. Why do you think so many people don't get into trust that don't make $1 million a year? Because they don't want to. They don't want to work 60 hours a week. They don't want to work 80 hours a week. They don't want to manage assets. They don't want to work just for assets. They want to work for money. We hear so many people come to the vault and say, "Hey, I want to build a trust," but then they want to have a job mentality. So many people come to the vault. They want to be in trust, but they want to work 20 hours a week. They want to study. They want to take off. There is no taking off in trust. If you haven't had it for 20 or 30 years of your life, what do you think it's time to do now? It's time to get building. It's time to get growing from a very strategic position. The sense of urgency is there with higher net worth earners. They have so much more to protect. How do you build it? You invest in the relationships. Not just the intellectual property. You invest in the relationships that hold the property. There's so many environments that are holding power, which is the knowledge. Sat in front of an asset manager today, managing tons of assets, specifically gold and silver, hard assets, actually very formidable in the world market for commodities, and literally didn't want to speak on trust today. Why would they? They're in a strategic position. See, if you follow the environment of how to build trust, you'll know that the Rockefeller, one of the largest trustees, trust magnates ever, said, competition is sin. They don't believe in competition in the trust environment. So how can you come in this environment and thrive and survive if you don't have the same mindset? And those are families that their children have never had to work for at least 2 generations. And will never have to work a job. Never have to think about where's capital going to come from. It's coming from endowments with Morehouse University via the Rockefellers. It's coming from the Spelman for the Rockefellers. It's coming from the China Medical Board. It's coming from Chicago University. It's coming from New York, Pennsylvania, different places. The money has been invested. Those are multiple sources of income. You have to travel to place assets in places. No one places assets anywhere over the internet. This is the difference between how you build trust and how you stay broke. The way you stay broke is you go get the Acorn app and you go ahead and let somebody invest quarters, dimes, and nickels for you. A trustee says, hey, all capital is allocated for, and all of it has a specific place. It's not just something that we can just casually use as what they call discretionary. It's not discretionary. It's planned. That's how it's built. It's not focused on nickels, dimes, and quarters, even though we picked those up off the ground. It's focused on return of investment. It's focused on perpetual investments, investments that give you infinite returns. That's how you build trust, focusing on investments that give you infinite returns. How do you build trust? You let go of owning something mentality. Own something. Oh, I got to own something. How do you build trust? You let go of ownership mentality. You focus on control. You focus on officership. You focus on directorship. You focus on what these techies want to be called founders now. Everybody wants to be called a founder. So, how do you build trust? You get in the environments that allow you to learn the power that's inside of owning nothing, control everything. That's the difference. How do you build trust? You build trust in yourself by investing in education. So that's the only intellectual property no one can take from you. That's the only asset that they can't take from you. They can't take what's inside. How do you build trust? By being around people that are in trust. Why do you think they have country clubs? Just like we said, the fellow that we sat in front of, that's the commodities trader, uh, definitely didn't want to talk about trust. They ask a few questions, they leave it alone. Why? Because it's a secret. Why would they want to tell you their financial position? Why would they want to tell you their strategic position that they're in? What benefit does it have to them? But we sit around some of them that do share and talk. So we see what they're utilizing commodities for banks for. So the information, the power is only powerful if you're using it, which means you're able to take the trading information, you're able to take the trust information, you're able to go in certain environments to have conversations that it will enable you to move on in life. How to build trust? It's through having a foundation. It's by having a cause bigger than yourself. Most people don't have a cause bigger than themselves. Most people say they're trying to take it day to day. And that's why their lives are the way they are. But when you can build something bigger than where you are now currently, you'll see that money actually doesn't run out now. Now we have more time to do what? Acquire the assets that gave us the money to keep building trust in ourselves, in our knowledge base, in our family, and working towards the thing that's outside of ourselves. It's an easy psychology to be wealthy. So easy. It's focusing on something outside of yourself. A real dream, a real goal. How do you build trust? You drop your ego. You focus on the contract. How do you build trust? You take risk. Every dollar that leads to trust is an expense. Education, risk, business expenses. What they say, it takes money to make money. But no, in the broke environments, it doesn't take money to make money. Sure, it doesn't. That's like saying it doesn't take you to do anything to get something. Yes, it takes money to make money. You're in trust. What are they protecting? Assets. Assets usually are quantitated in a dollar value. So yes, it does take money to make money. Oh man, I don't have a lot of money. That's what some people say. Well, how much money do I need to have? We just said it takes money to make money. The principle is what you put in is what you get out. Pressed down, shaken together, and tenfold, hundredfold. So okay, what you put in is what you get out. Dot dot dot. How to build trust. Willing to make the tough decisions for the family. The sacrifices for the family. Who do you let manage the family estate? Who manages the family estate? Who's the successor? Where do things go when you pass? It doesn't matter. You can say, how do you build trust or how do you build a will? Your will is what you're going to do, and then when you pass, it's given away. And the trust doesn't have to be. We can say, how do you build business? It's the same exact thing. It's focused on assets under management. How do you build trust? You stop spending money and is focused on investing money. Investments are expenses. Investments are losses until there's a return of investment. It's a loss. Why do you think so many entrepreneurs are in precious metals? Why do you think so many entrepreneurs are in oil? Why do you think so many entrepreneurs or investors are in real estate? It's a great tax write-off. It's a great depreciating asset. We could easily do an episode about depreciating assets. How do you build trust? Most people are holding liabilities as a depreciating asset. And trust is just a depreciating asset. It's a business expense. Personally, it's a liability. Oh man, I can't get rid of it. I don't know what's going on. I'm not making any money off it. I got family members living in here. I want to kick them out so I can make some money off it, but I can't. How do you build trust? You invest in a trust management system. You invest in a continuing education program like Trustee Training that the Vault provides. Trustee Training. You get in a management system for trustees, specifically private trustee training. If you're doing private trusteeship or trustee training, because that's what it's all about. The trust can never be built or outgrow the management of the trustees. So it's incumbent upon the trustees to focus on protection, preservation, growth, and passing it along properly. How do you build trust? You keep minutes. You keep record of the actions. We appreciate all you all for tuning in live or listening to replay. Always want to do a few of these episodes right now. I got some other ones that I'm definitely going to be doing here with the vault. How to build trust was one of them because it covers a range of the mindset. We always go over the mindset at the vault when it comes to building. So many people come to the vault and say, "Oh, I'm already in trust. Already, I'm a trustee or something." Okay, okay, but were you mentored in that? See, in this environment, there's a mentorship required. Otherwise, you just go purchase something from a lawyer on the public side. See, this is a community. The vault was taught this information through a community of trustees. There's still a community of trustees that the vault is mentored by. It's a community of trustees because people that are in this environment work together for specific reasons, financially, traditionally. So many of them are coming to the vault because they're looking for that education. They're looking for that environment. They're looking for that community. That's how you build it. You build it by making sure that you're following the plan because that's what it's all about. Appreciate you all for tuning in live or listening to replay. Feel free to reach out to Christian at Trust Christian, whether that's for a consultation or to inquire about trustee training. It's close to the end of the year. We're going to be doing some stuff starting at the beginning of next year as far as trustee training and the workshop that we have for our trustees. But if you still want to get a consultation before the end of the year, feel free to reach out. Um, a lot of general questions, and so many people say, well, how do I build trust and I don't even have the money? How much money do you have to have? That's actually a common question to it too as well. And one of the questions is uh, right now there's actually what is a silver on the stock market or on the market for acquired that the other day for less than $20. You all can look into gold and silver holdings. Those are basic holdings to start out with. Even a diamond ring or collectible art or anything, that has a value can start out. And that's how you start building. You start building from scratch. So many people don't want to build from scratch, but so many people aren't even building from scratch, and that's a good thing. But the way you build it is by making sure that you have a mentorship, the proper mindset in place, which is critical. Having a proper mindset in place. It's not just about acquiring the assets, it's about managing the assets, growing the assets. So many people say, well, what's an asset? It's not just money, it's the business. If it's not just the business, could be solid real property holdings and things of that nature. An asset is education. That's what you're building. You're building an education base for the successor. You're building a financial base for the successor. You're building a network, the private network of trustees that you network with. You're building a private network for your successors to walk into. That's what they do at Harvard. When you give an endowment, your children are able to go to the school, then what? They're a part of a private network. So, people skills are essential. How do you build trust? You work on your people skills. How you build trust? You have better financial advisors, better financial people around you. Some of the best people that are making capital, that are managing capital, people that pull you outside your comfort zone because they're making capital in ways that you may not be making capital. Investing in different environments, alternative educations. That's how it's done. Appreciate you all for tuning in live or listening to replay. Episode 176, How to Build Trust. Christian at trustchristian.com. Feel free to reach out. Look forward to hearing from you all.